Hey, welcome back. Okay, so the last time we were together, I talked about the Shiseido products and I wrote down the information. This is pretty lengthy. And I also put my email, so if you want to email me, feel free to do that. Is that all in there? How's that? I'm going to hold it there for a second. I got it a little wet. Anyway, that's my email. If you want to email me, and then I can just send you the link instead of you having to write down all this stuff because this is a lot of numbers. Okay, anyway, is it, I wonder if it's showing up right or is it reading backwards? I have no idea. We'll find out later. Okay, so when we were together for the first time, that was a lot of fun, by the way. Thank you so much for joining me. Um, we talked about, skincare and skincare routines. Okay, so today I'm like all washed and all moisturized and everything and feel great. The one thing that I wanted to share with you was 30 years ago. Um, when I was looking for work, I went into retail and actually retail was further back, but I applied for a job at Rich's, if anybody remembers Rich's, which became Rich's Macy's and then Macy's. Anyway, there I went from working in handbags and hosiery to working in cosmetics. So I did a little bit of Chanel and I did a little bit of Estee Lauder, and then many times if your booth was unmanned or unwomaned, um, you would go over and help in other areas. So one day somebody was like, hey, uh, there's a customer over at the Shiseido line and she's looking for, stuff for her, skin and whatever. So I was like, well, I know absolutely nothing about that. And they were like, it doesn't matter, you got to go help. So I listened to the customer, and as I was listening to the customer, I got pretty curious about this because I got to thinking, wow, this sounds pretty extraordinary. Um, so about a month later, I met the representative, and so I moved over from Estee Lauder to Shiseido, and that's when I actually fell in love with the product. Because I got to try it firsthand, and they sent you to classes so you could learn about skincare. So we learned about the dermis and the epidermis and the subcutaneous level and all that other, great stuff about your skin. The one thing that I thought was fascinating and still sticks with me today is that from age 20, I think it's either 22 or 25. I'm sorry, I can't remember. So much for sticking with me, right? But from your early 20s, your cell turnover the collagen begins to break down, and your cell turnover starts to slow down a little bit. Um, and because our cells, like our skin, the cell turnover is like every 28 days, kind of like your cycle if you're still on it. Me, I'm done with those days. Hallelujah. Anyway, so the one thing that you want to remember when it comes to, your skincare is that it's, first off, it's never too late to get started with good skincare. And secondly, you can really never be too young. I say, start in your 20s. I know that, when you go through puberty, some women tend to break out, and there are some great products out there for that. And then, of course, the skincare line that I mainly talk about and mainly use is the Shiseido. They also carry products for that. But anyway, um, so that's a little bit of my history. And if you have any questions, again, I can, just my email is Ivonne, Ivonne .long@gmail.com. You can always email me. That's perfectly fine. Yes, it's Ivonne with an I instead of a Y. I'll tell you that story sometime. My mom, God bless her, God rest her soul. She told me the story that, and it was such a struggle for her. She told me because my grandfather's name was Isaac, so she had to use something with the letter I, and every single name that you could possibly think of, she had a reason for not using it. Anyway, there's more to that story later on. All right, so going back to the skin, moisturized. I'm all moisturized and everything. And oh yeah, one thing I left out yesterday was the eye cream. When you are applying your eye cream and you're using that ring finger because you want less pressure, you can also do a little bit of circles around the eyes to kind of help strengthen the muscles in there. And the other thing about your eye cream is you want to keep it in this perimeter along your bone. You don't want to go any closer to the eye because the eyelids are so fine, they act like a sponge, and so they draw in any moisturizer or anything that's near, or close to the eyelid. It'll draw it in. All right, so when I am applying makeup, after I have moisturized, especially during the summertime, I like to use a little bit of a tinted moisturizer or just something lightweight. So, and again, it really doesn't matter what your makeup is, as long as you have the good, the best skincare. Anyway, so I selected Neutrogena. This is a little bit light because I also use a shade in the winter, but, I'll just put a couple of dots and then I will blend it. It really lasts pretty long. Oh yeah, there's also another new product. I should have shared that with you first. It's e.l.f. Eyes, lips, and face. This stuff is pretty incredible. This is a poreless face primer. So I will use probably about a full pump or a little under a pump. I try to use things sparingly. Otherwise, it's kind of wasted, but I'll put that in my T-zone area. And I know that I put that other stuff on, but whatever, it doesn't matter. It actually smells pretty good, too. My hair's a little wet. I just got out of the shower a little while ago, and I prefer for my hair to, dry naturally. I try not to put a lot of product in it. Yes, it's thin, it's falling out, but, it is what it is. I did discover a really good shampoo. It's this stuff right here. It's a biotin shampoo made in the good old USA. I actually ordered this online. Biotin shampoo. Smells great too. That helps me to eliminate a lot of excess product in my hair. Typically, the only time I will put product in my hair is if I've fluffed it and I want it to stay fluffy. Okay. Anyway, so I have the primer, and then I can use a little bit of this, but then the other item that I discovered is pretty cool. It's a concealer, and it's Infallible by L'Oreal. So that's pretty neat. And again, it's a concealer, but I mean, it acts like a foundation. It's a little on the yellow side, and that's okay because I'm a little on the pink side. So you just have to kind of like find your shade, your true match. And I'm using my fingers to blend in. Why am I using my fingers instead of, not using a sponge? Sponge can collect bacteria. We don't need that. So I'm using my fingers. And this stuff is so silky that, it just goes right on. So it's a light foundation. And so sometimes I'll wear a little bit of blush and sometimes I won't. But I try to find like a creamy blush. Those are usually the best kind. And I just take a little bit in my fingertips, and then I'll just tap it right there, and then I'll blend. And then here again, the reason why a cream blush is because it looks more natural instead of caked on. And then of course, the older you get, you want to stick to, things that are creamy for your skin. That looks, well, it looks good in my big mirror, but in my little mirror, or in the recording, it looks a little blotchy, but it's actually smooth, not bad. Okay, eyeshadow. NYX. It's pretty good. I bought one time, didn't even have a brush. And sometimes I use a brush and sometimes I don't, but I'm going to do some naturals today. And I'm going to start with a little brush that they provide. I'm going to wet the tip a little bit. And going back to those classic ovals that I love to use for cleansing, I'm going to squeeze the excess water out of the tip. And I'm going to start with the brown. Oh, let me cut the water off. Alright, now the brown I'm going to almost use like a liner. And so I'm going to lift, and then I'm going to apply down here by my lash. And then I've got some on both sides, so I'm switching sides. And I am applying by the lash. Alright, I gotta check myself out in the bigger mirror. Not bad. If I've missed anything, I'll just come back. I dampen my sponge, and I, just kind of like go in there like that, because I want, the water will kind of help adhere to the skin better. Then I'm going to take my finger and grab one of these neutral shades and just apply it up here. And, I'm not really doing anything today, except I've got to go to the post office. Stand in line, wear my mask. Boy, I'll tell you, this pandemic that we're in, it's crazy. All right, there it is. Okay, so I've had this for quite some time, so it doesn't really look all that great, if you could see it. There's a little applicator that comes with it, and it's got a little brush on one end. It's for my brows. So I tap it between the dark brown and the brown, and then I just lightly brush over my brow. I don't really do too much for my brows, but it'll cover up the gray. And I like that neutral look, and I like just a little bit of liner. Okay, I don't really care too much for curling my lashes, but this morning, the way I woke up, my eyelashes look like, somebody had ironed them flat. So I take a good curling iron, and I'll heat it up. I'll keep it tightly closed, and I'll run hot water over it. And then I'll take one of those cotton pads, and then I'll just wipe it off, and it's warm. And so then I'll crimp my lashes. So I have to go to my other mirror, which is over here. If you could see it, I have to go to that mirror because it's magnifying. I don't always recommend looking in a magnifying glass, I call that the horrifying side. The regular side is glorifying. The magnifying is horrifying because you see all, anyway. All right, so I am crimping. And the best way to crimp is when you crimp your lashes, you just kind of like work your way up like that. That's always fun. And don't squeeze too hard. I mean, your lashes are hair. It's not metal, so you don't have to like squeeze. All right, back to that e.l.f. Their mascara. Oh my gosh, I'm in love with it. They have waterproof, which is fun if you're a swimmer, but then I like the regular. Waterproof also can be a little difficult to get off, but it will come off. And so when I'm applying, I sweep out. And I probably could have added a little bit more, but I need that closer look. Sorry about leaving leaving you guys there for a second. All right, and then I just apply to the top. I rarely ever do anything on the bottom, but that's because of my age. Usually when get in your early 50s on up, you want to focus on up. You don't want to focus on down. So, like, you can take a little bit of mascara and hit that area if you want to, but I prefer just to keep everything focused on up. And then I just apply some lipstick. I probably no, here we go. Okay, this is Rimmel. I'm wearing pink today. So this is called Stay Glossy, and it's really pretty. So I'll just throw on some gloss. Yeah, that's pretty. That's nice. Okay, so now I'm ready for the post office. All right. Thank you again so much for watching, and may the peace of God be with you. Shalom.